We'll give it 1 or 2 more minutes, and then we'll get started on today's trip to Stockholm. A few more have joined. So welcome and thank you again for joining us on this journey with Xylem around the world. Today is our last trip, unfortunately, already. And I'm Ellen, you've seen me before on these calls, and happy to join you on all of these travels. So make sure you're all on mute. You can see that by clicking on the microphone icon in your controls. Use chat to engage with each other, and use the Q&A box for any question you might have throughout the visit. For full screen video of a person, click on the 3 dots in their screen and you can pin speaker. I'm recording the session, as I mentioned at the beginning, just be aware. Also, as for the other sessions, please note some portions will be live, so bear in mind that some technical glitches might happen, such as connectivity issues. But we wanted to make sure we connect live with you as much as possible. And so most of the visit today through the laboratory in Sundbyberg is live. Enjoy today's trip with us. And I'm very happy to introduce you to some of our senior leaders today. Because of the pandemic, some of them will join from home and some are in our offices with the necessary precautions. We hope you can understand. So let's get going. In the last few weeks, you have been able to join different digital meetup sessions and take a travel with us around the world to some of the Xylem locations. We visited together Rybrook, New York, then our tech centers in India. Then we went to our headquarters for China, and last week you visited the manufacturing plant in Italy. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we can't meet in person in Stockholm. We hope with these virtual visits you have been able to get a good overview of what a company like Xylem is about. I hope you can enjoy today's trip with us, and I'm very happy again to introduce you to some of our leaders today. For today's session, I'm handing over to Anna Hildel. We worked together in the same team in marketing for many years. She will be your MC today, and she's based in Sweden, and she has been leading the Sundbyberg visit for the Stockholm Junior Water Prize finalists for many, many years. Anna, are you there?
So hi Ellen, and thank you so much. Welcome to your final stop on the virtual tour with Xylem. So I am standing outside the office in Stockholm, Sweden, and I hope that you can hear me okay. It's very windy here today, but I wanted to be sure to welcome you from the same spot that I have welcomed finalists for many, many years. So before we start the tour, I would just like to, on behalf of my colleagues here in the site, congratulate all of you, of course, to your fantastic achievements this year. A special shout out, of course goes to Japan, the US, and Bangladesh. But remember that you are all winners. So my name is Anna, and I will be your guide today. Together with me, the man behind the camera, Francisco, will make sure that you get a fantastic tour, hopefully. I would have liked to welcome you, of course, face to face, but hopefully you think, that we have a really good tour lined up for you here today. So, as I said, I'm standing outside the office. This is where Xylem has been since 2004. Xylem has actually been in Sweden since the early 1900s, but more to come on that. This building that you see here behind me was custom made for the needs we have with a big lab area and testing area. We have about 380 employees in the building, and almost half of them work with research and development. We have other global functions here as well, such as product management, marketing, IT, and HR. And also, of course, a big lab that you will see today. We also have the Swedish sales company headquartered here, and also service branch for the region around Stockholm. So as the first stop on the tour today, I'm very honored to introduce you to one of our senior leaders, Mr. Hayati Arkadash, who is our main leader for the water infrastructure business, and who wants to give you a short introduction note. So over to you, Hayati.
Hello everyone, and welcome to your final stop in your journey through Xylem's sites across the world. My name is Hayati Arkadash, and it's a great privilege for me to welcome you on this virtual tour of our Sundbyberg Research and Development Center in Sweden. I hope this will be a very valuable experience for you, and that you will learn all about our pumps, our motors, and other products, and more importantly, how we work each day to try to solve water. Before I leave you in great hands of Anna and her colleagues, I wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate all of our finalists for this year's Stockholm Junior Water Prize competition for your pioneering work to find new ways to solve water. And a special congratulations to our teams in Japan, US, Bangladesh for your winning projects. On behalf of Xylem, we're so proud and honored of the work that you've done, and I applaud you for your dedication, passion to such important cause, particularly as you have had to work on your projects under the most challenging circumstances. To me, you are a real testament that your generation is much more involved in protecting the environment than the previous generations. More and more, we see examples of how you're prepared to use your voices, your creativity, and your technological know-how to safeguard our environment. As a child, I spent almost a decade in northeast part of Turkey. And I should tell you that water was not very much part of the menu in our household. I am very familiar with the challenges and stresses that 700 million people face in all around the world because of scarcity of clean water. To finish, although most of you may still be in high school, I'm a true believer that the key success is to remain students for life. I certainly have learned a lot from you and your projects, so I want to thank you for that. I have no doubt in my mind that you will have a great and positive impact in your communities and the world. And because finding solutions to solve the world's water problems is not something that one can do on their own, don't forget that Xylem will be always there for you in your global effort to join to solve the water. Congratulations once again, and I wish you all the successes in your future journey. Thank you.
Over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Harry, for those inspiring words. But where did you go? Well, luckily, I'm not here on my own. I would like to now introduce you to Yunus Romfeldt, who is the head of R&D, Research and Development here in the office. So Yunus, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Anna.
Perfect, thank you. So could you share some things about what your department do and also what we can expect from the tour?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Yunus Romfeldt. I'm leading one of the development sites here within Xylem. So welcome to Stockholm. I have roughly 150 engineers working here, researching and developing technologies and products for wastewater management. It's a really exciting place to work at because we have a really broad scope of competencies. We have a range from mechanical engineers, hydraulic designers, software engineers, data scientists, and even UX designers. And that big mix is what makes us strong. We can build really unique solutions. And today, we're going to visit the heart of R&D, as we call it, our extensive lab facilities. That's the place where we can bring all of these competencies into those integrated solutions that makes us unique on the market. And we will have a virtual lab tour today under the current circumstances. And I think it's time to go.
Yeah, okay.
Down to the lab and
Yes.
see what we can show you.
Yeah, let's go. Would you mind opening, Anna? So safety first, we hold on to the handrail here. Oh, now we're closer to the lab. So I would like now to introduce you to Jan Becke, who is managing the testing lab here on the site. So Janne, how are you?
Yeah, thank you, Anna. Very well.
Prepared for the virtual tour?
Hopefully.
Yeah, good. So over to you. I will
Yeah.
now put on my vest
Yes.
to keep safe in the lab.
So, welcome everybody to the Asylum Research and Development Center here in Sundbyberg, Stockholm, Sweden. And first of all, congratulations to your achievements. And I must say, you chose the right subject. I myself also share your passion with water. My name is Jan Becke, and I've been with the company for a fairly long time. Actually, I arrived here first time when I was 17 as a student. And then some more studying, and then back again. So almost 30 years in the company, just because I share your passion for water. In this lab, we are developing systems and products for water handling, mostly pumps, like this one for sewage water, or this one for drainage. This type of products are absolutely crucial for the function of the society, but it uses a lot of energy. In this lab, we really try to reduce energy consumption and reduce the number of service call-outs. We want as high performance as possible, then to sustain it for a very long time. Like this good old fellow here. It was taken in commission in 1960. We took it home in 2010. Nothing wrong with it, but the society is growing, so the customer needed a bigger pump. So 50 years in service and still functional. Keywords for us here in the laboratory are sustained performance. As I said, as high performance as possible, then sustain it for a very long time. So please, join me for a lab tour. First, safety tip. We used hand sanitizer, wearing vest, and of course, in this environment, safety shoes. Here, we start. We have a 3D printer, but it's a lab. It's a modern lab. Of course, we have a 3D printer. And it's so good for us to easily can change our prototypes, build new prototypes, and do whatever we want. Please come and look here. Here is a model of a hydraulic part. You can move. Also, this is a privilege. During this corona epidemic, we have been able to produce these visors. First, we started to do the design, then we printed them, and in the end, we started to make them in injection molding. Xylem made about 50,000 in these and gave away for health service all around the world. And it's such a privilege to work in a project like that. So, okay, next stop, treatment model laboratory. Here we have treatment model laboratory. Here they are working with the systems, control system, and design for sewage treatment plants. You see the little yellow propeller there? It's mounted on a so-called model mixer. It's of course been printed out here. And down here, they have the full-scale propeller. Down here, you can also see so-called mixer. And you have just this fellow reduced energy consumption and a place in France with 41%. Here we have an interesting model. This is actually called a racetrack for water, for sewage water, for aeration of sewage water. Aeration of sewage water in the sewage treatment plant are very energy consuming. Up to 60% of the energy in sewage treatment goes to aeration. This is a model test trying to improve that, reduce the energy for aeration in this so-called racetrack. The water is going around, around, air coming into it. Okay, next up, our EMC bunker. EMC, electromagnetic compatibility. All our products and our controls has to be approved according to the EMC. So, in here, we can make pre-compliance testing. We can't do real certification testing because then we need at least 10 times as big room. But for pre-compliance, it's absolutely perfect. And this is definitely a confined area because inside here, no one can hear either you and definitely not your telephone. We will move further into the monitoring and control lab. Okay, here we have remotely controlled control testing. We go just and check it out. But due to Corona, we have reduced the personnel here, so a lot of testing will be done from home. Okay. Endurance testing for level switch. Normally, this goes up and down. This type of level switch, you can find hundreds of thousands out there on the field in sewage pumping. When water comes up, the change start or stop the product. Or normally I have 3 of these in the pump station. 1 for start, 1 lower down for stop, and then 1 high up for some sort of emergency. There's a flooding situation, then it alarms. So it's a huge product. Simple, but enormously reliable. Electronics laboratory, an ESD controlled area, electrostatic discharge. Here we work with electronics. We move further into the application lab. So in here we have the control room for the application test lab. In the application test lab, we are testing control systems. We're doing that in full-scale pump stations. Here you have some examples of the control systems that has been testing here. Here we have a standard pump station. Normally they are a bit higher, but also normally they're dug down into the ground. Please come further. You can see the pumps in here. In this sewage pump station, there are normally 2 pumps, but the sewage pumping are so crucial that you have 2 pumps for reliability. Because you never want the sewage pump station flooding, whatever the reason are. Here we also have the level switch, of course. Here another type of measuring pressure. We have 4 of these tests set up in this lab. One of the main advantages to work in this lab is that it's so international. And we almost always have students here. Interns, like doing the master thesis most of the time. It is so interesting to work with students for like a half a year from everywhere in the world. You really start to know them. So it's a very good place to do the master thesis. And it's also, we have also almost every time something you need to investigate. Now we come to the seal test laboratory. Our products are submersible. It works underwater. We have an electrical motor. We have a hydraulic part here. Between that, we have a seal. This should rotate with like 1480 RPM for 10 years or something. Still should be atmospheric pressure in here and water here. And here we have the sealing system called the plug-in seal. It works like, actually, there are 2 metal surfaces. One stationary and one rotating, and they're so flat, it gets sealed off. And it actually works. This is the key for this type of submersible pump. So we go into this lab. You can see here we have many different types of the seals. All of this is developed here. Okay, in here we have the endurance testing for the seal. It's never quiet in here. It just runs and runs and runs. And all this test equipment are built here on site. We can't buy anything of this. So we just build it ourselves. Here. I do like simple solutions to hard problems. When someone comes down to me for a very complicated solution to many times a simple problem, I get a bit, But this one, here's so-called sodium lamp. This seal has to be enormously flat. Well, everyone that produces these types of seal are using these sodium lamps. This type of lamp has only one wavelength. That means if you put a flat glass over a seal, hopefully you can see it. You will get a pattern. 3 lines are 1,000 of a millimeter, and this is a bad seal. Maybe you can see a good seal. It's a completely different pattern, and we accept 3 lines fault. That's 1,000 of a millimeter. And it's just an easy method. If you get no lines at all, but then it's a very bad seal. Then it's bended or something. Okay, we will move further to the material test laboratory. It's close to the seal test laboratory because they are working with similar problems. Materials are so important for our quality and for our cost. It's very important when it comes to procurement, because you see in the seals, for example, there's silicon carbides, and this material has to be bought with ethically correct. No conflict minerals at all are allowed here, definitely. And we will see here. We have some test samples, for example. Here are some materials that has been tested. You can see the wear here. It's a wear test. And then they had been put in this, and we can measure the hardness of the material. Here we have several test objects. Materials are very important for us. But here in the materials laboratory, of course, they are working with problems. We're pumping water, there is something into it. If we're, for example, in a mine, it can be very strange water, and strange things can happen to the product. Then we call the material lab, and then they investigate. So we move on to the prototype workshop. It's a huge advantage for us to have our own prototype workshop. In here, we can build our prototypes, and we can repair them or do a lot of changes to it. And we also build our own test equipment. Next up, we'll build a wear test laboratory. In here, we're working with accelerated wear testing, mostly for drainage pump. Drainage pump are used on construction sites and mines and whatever. Normal test is about 100 hours. We run with normally with 20% of solids like sand and rubble. And you do get some wear. This impeller here has been pumping 18 tons of sand each hour for 200 hours. And actually, the performance is better than new. So smooth and nice surfaces. But sometimes we try a little too much. This used to be an impeller. We can look in here. There's a test going on. So we won't go in here now. And it was a weird test. The product can actually break down. This product has soon gone up to 200 hours. Next, motor development. Xylem are developing their own electrical motors. And we are doing real high performance electrical motors. Our newest series is permanent magnet motors. Come and look. Here we have the prototype for the world's first submersible mixer with permanent magnet motor. You can almost see that it's a prototype with the magnets. But up here we have the production model, and it's a very strong magnet, as you see. Neodymium magnet. Here we have our newest motor. This is a single tooth permanent magnet motor. This motor has half the size of a normal asynchronous motor. We call it double energy density, and it's a very, very high efficiency. This is a motor you see in a modern electric car, where they have to have a small motor with high performance. Here we have the rotor for it. With the surface lying magnets. Don't get too close with the camera. And these ones has built-in variable frequency drive. This one changes the RPM of the motor to get optimum RPM to save energy. Everything built into one unit. Here we have test benches for the motors. We have 4 of these. A test object we put here. Here we have a torqueometer. And here we have a generator. We put the load on the generator and break the test object, so we can get all the data as we want. Now we will move over to the hydraulic department. Here, in this test rig, we are testing the clog resistance on our products. In sewage water, you can find almost anything, especially stuff that shouldn't be there. And pumps can get clogged, or you can have a flooding situation due to the pumps are stopping. In this test tank, we are testing the clog resistance. We have a very small pump installed here now, similar like this, only 1.5 kilowatts. I'm gonna start it. And I also start the stroboscope light. Gonna run 5 of these now into the pump. So please. If you want to know some more about this testing, please try that QR code. Then we're running testing in this tank with a professional film team and a 50,000 euro high-speed camera. Such a camera would be a real nice thing for a lab guy like me, and well, someday I will convince my manager. Maybe. So we move further to the heart of the lab. Here we have the PTR. That means performance test rig. And here we are measuring the performance of our prototypes. Under the floor here, there's a huge pipe system. In this test tank, we are producing curves. We have head, flow, use of power, and efficiency. Here we have head and flow, use of power, and efficiency. This pump should be using here, just for this curve. In this test tank, we can pump up to 2,000 liters per second. Like, we could test pumps like this one. This one gives about 1,500 liters per second. We can go up to 500 kilowatts. This one has 300 kilowatts. We can go between 25 to 67 hertz grid frequency with perfect sinus wave to simulate RPMs on the products and simulate, for example, a pump around for 60 hertz in other countries. We can go from 0 to 6,600 volts, 1,000 amps. So we can run a pump that is about 40% larger than this one. This weighs about 5 tons. And it has, this one has a 500 millimeter outlet. Here we pass by the mining pump. And this pump has, of course, some parts that has been printed out. Small parts. Now we will move over to the cable endurance testing. We are actually developing our own cables. We're not producing them ourselves, but we are developing them ourselves. The cable endurance test rig, well, we call it cable salsa. You see these thick cables here? They look like spaghetti, but they are fairly hard, actually. And just moves and moves here. We try to worn them out. They runs here for weeks or months. So next stop, the service station. During product development, it's so easy to get away from reality. Well, in this lab, we have something unique. The largest service station from the Stockholm area, we have just next door to us. Here we have the reality. And if something doesn't work, we get to know about it. And we can also easily expose them for our prototypes, and then can also show us the problem. I think it was all from the laboratory. Thank you for joining us. And I will leave over to Ellen now for Q&A. And I wish you all a happy life and work with water.
Thank you so much, Francisco and Jan. Really great visit. I'm sure everyone who's attending enjoyed this. We're also streaming this live for our employees on Xylem now. There's a lot of attendees. I'm sure you don't see that. But if I can ask all the panelists to please go switch their video on. And then we can start with a Q&A. Okay, so let me introduce to you today who we have here. We have Hannah with us, Hannah Albaj, and I'm sorry if I'm not saying your names right. I'm not fully fluent in Swedish. So Hannah is our Manager Application Engineering and Training. Then we have, as you met earlier on video already, Hayati Yarkadash, our Senior Vice President and President, Water Infrastructure and Europe Commercial Team. Thank you for joining. Also with us, we have Vikram Nanwani. Vikram is our Vice President, Product Management and Engineering. Then we have Johan Bretthal, our Manager Innovation, Product Concepts. He's also Stockholm Junior Water Prize jury member and a distinguished engineer. And Johan, thank you so much. I think you've made a really great choice with all of our winners. Really, I saw them, I think on our first call, they actually joined us as well. They were very happy about that. Then if you have any questions, post them on the Q&A. So obviously you can also ask Jan Becker questions about the visit. So Jan is our manager, hydraulic and mechanical testing. He is in the lab with Francisco. And so if you have any questions for him, please go ahead. And then we should have Johan join us. Jonas was with the visit downstairs, so maybe we need to wait for him a little bit. But let's get going with the other panelists. So as I mentioned to all the attendees, if you have any questions, go ahead and post them on the Q&A. But also for Xylem employees, if you have any questions, please feel free to also post these on Xylem now. So let's maybe start with Hayati. Hayati, how did you come to work in water? I know you joined us more recently, right, at a difficult time, right, just when the pandemic started. So how come you joined the water industry?
Thank you, Alan. And I want to welcome everybody, and I want to congratulate again all of our participants and winners to this year's Stockholm Junior Water Prize. You're all winners. And Jan, you are a passionate guy. I went through this tour with you last week, and I felt the same passion, and I watched you going through every station. So thank you for that. Alan, I firmly believe there are two existential challenges that faces humanity today. One is climate change. The other one is water. After 25 years working in different industries, I just can't think of any other more meaningful mission and work for myself than working on one of the two. It happened to be in Xylem, where we try to solve water every day, and which is linked to climate change in a way. So that's why I work at Xylem with water.
Mm-hmm. Great. Thank you, and thank you for joining us, Hayati. Maybe Vikram. Vikram, what do you think makes Xylem different from other companies to work in?
Hi, Ellen, and I would just like to congratulate the panelists again as well. Pleasure to be here. Yeah, I would highlight a few things. As Hayati mentioned, the main one I would say is our mission to solve water. It's unique to be able to be in a company where we have such a strong social purpose, not just through what we do through our corporate social responsibility work, which is great, but it's actually inbuilt into everything we're doing every day. And I can't imagine many other places where you can get that. I would also have to mention the people. I mean, you've seen a small spectrum of some of the people we have here. The passion, the talent, the dedication to the mission, and also the fact that everyone really cares about each other here is something I've really felt. I've had the opportunity to work at 3 different countries, 3 different locations, parts of the business. And that has been a common thread everywhere where I've been with Xylem. And the last thing I'll point out is the fact that we really work across the whole cycle of water. And that's quite unique. I think even in the water space, many people are dedicated to certain areas. We can really take this holistic view and see how, not just us, but partnering with other people, we can really have an impact on solving water, not just by focusing on individual areas, but looking at the full ecosystem of what needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Vikram. Hannah, maybe a question for you here. Of all the solutions that Xylem offers, which is the one that you think can make the biggest difference in solving water problems?
Well, thank you, Ellen. It's a tricky question, I would say. To Hayati's point, I mean, there's so much challenges when it comes to water and so much we can do and that we need to do to solve water. There's non-revenue water, there's flooding, there's handling wastewater, there's so much we can do. And maybe ducking a question a bit, but I don't think there is one solution, one product that I can just point out, because it's, again, you need to see the big picture, and it's the combination of, I mean, you saw in the lab, the high-tech engineered products, combining that with the way how we run the pumps, for example, or mixes, how we put them out there, how do we design the whole station and environment for them to actually perform in the right way. And to Vikram's point, look at the bigger picture, look at the whole water cycle. How can we work with algorithms, with decision intelligence, and using that to solve water issues. So as I said, can't put out just one. It's that combination, and together actually as well with the people, the service people out in the field. I think that's the key to solving water.
Great answer. Thank you so much.
Alan, just want to add and punctuate what Hannah said. I think what differentiates us and what brings us closest to solving water is our approach of looking at end to end, not from equipment point of view, one equipment versus other, but looking at the whole ecosystem of water, the challenges with water, and trying to address that with multiple solutions that we have, and being present globally all around the world.
Yeah, and bringing that value, right, to that whole chain. Great. Thank you. And I see, so Anna and Jonas, they had to walk from the lab up to the offices. So thank you, both of you, for joining us. So Jonas, let me introduce him first. Jonas is the Director of Product Development and Transport. Obviously, you saw him at the beginning of the visit when he was at the reception with Anna. Hi, Jonas.
Hi.
Also introduce Anna here. So Anna is actually a content strategy manager, and she's a watermark ambassador. So just to complete the picture of everyone who's on the phone here with us, thank you all for joining. So question for you, Jonas. What opportunities does a student have to join Xylem? Maybe an interesting one for the finalists here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, students are, of course, a big importance to us, because it's where the future talent that we need is. So we're working quite heavily to get a lot of students involved in the work we do. And I hope that the lab tour we just had can show and give some excitement to all of you students out there. So during the summer, we have summer jobs. You can come here and work on the R&D team for 1 to 2 months, do a specific smaller project. And we also have something that we call summer internships. We would typically have a larger project where we get like a bigger group of students solving a real problem for us, together with the R&D engineers here in Stockholm or other sites in Xylem. And of course, at the end of your studies, if you need a place where you can do your master thesis work, we often have 4 or 5 ongoing master thesis work all the time to really dig into the future technologies and research a problem that we find interesting. And after you finished your studies, we have a really interesting, what we call an ELD program, Engineering Leadership Development Program, where you will actually have a great opportunity to travel the Xylem globally and be part of various development organizations throughout Xylem. So there are a lot of opportunities, and we are always looking for talent. So please reach out to me or anyone on this call.
Great. Thank you, Jonas. Johan, a question for you. Really intriguing, as you are the jury member, right? And we have the Stockholm Junior Water Prize finalists with us today. What is it like to be a jury member for the Stockholm Junior Water Prize? And I think specifically this year, right? It was a big, big challenge in the sense that everything was more virtually, instead of having live interviews. It was very different. So tell us a little bit more about it. What was it like?
Okay, hello everyone. Yes, my name is Johan Brattel, and I have met some of you before over the camera. And of course, I want to congratulate you all for making the final in Stockholm Junior Water Prize. And usually, I have the pleasure to meet all of you. Like then we are person to person and meet in Stockholm and go a very tight interviews scheme where we have 15 a day, 30 contestants to interview, and it's a rapid pace there and very, very fun. But as you said, Ellen, this year was different. We unfortunately had to make a choice. So it was only possible to interview 10 of you. And as we had together, we are 7 jury members. And we are sitting in different parts of the world, like Japan, US, Haiti, France, Sweden. And you being all over the world, in Bangladesh, China, Chile, and all that, you know. And that was quite a challenge, but thanks to very dedicated persons within Stockholm Junior Water Prize, we managed this year too. And I believe we found the right winner. So it was, of course, sad to miss like all the fun parts around this. We have one thing, we meet our jury, like we know each other pretty well, and our friends, and meet in Stockholm. And then all the fun things we do with, not the least, the big gala dinner at the end with Crown Prince Victoria giving the prize, handing out the prize and all that. Mm-hmm. But, to the circumstances, it was still a good experience, and I'm really happy that we pulled it through.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think it's the ceremony obviously was reduced to 45 minutes, right, as compared to whole gala evening, as you said. But we were really glad that the Crown Princess was still there to greet the students on that virtual visit. So thank you, Johan, and great work, and continue. We're looking forward to next year's jury's decision. Let me see, one other question. Maybe back to Hayati. What are the key water challenges in Europe that you notice? We talked to Shuping a few weeks ago, and she was highlighting some of the challenges in China. Maybe interesting for the students to hear how this is maybe different in Europe. So what would you think is something that you really notice different in Europe in terms of challenges?
Sure. Alan, the challenges that we see in water is pretty universal. And in 3 buckets that I'd like to address the question. The only changes from one region to another region, the intensity of each challenge changes, depending on where the geography or country is in terms of its development. And to answer to that question is critical, because that's what we at Xylem do every day with 17,000 people. Number one is water scarcity. We just have less of it, and we need more of it with demographics and urbanization, particularly in developing world. Number two is the resilience of our infrastructure. And you see that to a certain extent in North America and in Europe, because our infrastructure is aged. In some countries is over 100-year-old, which leads to significant water leakages. So basically, we take the water from the source, take it to the treatment plants, spend energy, technology, treat it, and on the way back to the consumer, we lose on an average 25–30%. Some countries are higher. That is what Hannah referred to earlier as non-revenue water. And we have in Xylem, we've been developing over the last number of years significant digital technologies to help our customers to address that leakages. And the third one is also has got a social dimension, which is about affordability. It's about equal access to water around the world. That's why it's got socially very sensitive and important topic. And it has a huge influence on development, social development in the country. So 3 areas in summary, and that's what we every day think about, how we can address water scarcity, resilience, and the consequences of lack of it in the infrastructure. And the third one is around affordability.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Hayati. And I don't think it's, I mean, probably it's in different degrees, different to China, but in general, it was very similar what Shuping answered in relation to China. There's another question that came in through Xylem now, Vikram, maybe for you. 20 years from now, what major change in water do you think will happen and will certainly help, and certainly with the help from our Stockholm Junior Water contestants, as we hope they enter this industry to make these changes come to life. So Vikram, are you happy to take this question? So what do you think, what major change in water do you think will happen in 20 years?
Wow, no, that's a good question. And I'm just looking for my crystal ball here. So I'd welcome anyone else who has some comments. But, you know, one of the changes I do see is, you know, with things like the Stockholm Junior Water Prize and significant more awareness from this next generation around water. We've said that being able to solve the water challenges, it's not industry that can do it, it's not governments that can do it, it is a broad societal effort. And I see with the next generation where they are growing up already with that sensitivity, that coming down 20 years down the road, we are going to be much more ahead of where we are today in terms of addressing those issues purely because we have this broad awareness across all societies across the world. So where I would like to, where I hope to see us in 20 years is where water issues are a lot less acute. So whether we're talking about affordability, you know, there's a lot of technology that makes affordability better already today. It's not really about technology. Whether we talk about scarcity, again, there is actually water out there, there's ways of getting it around. We need to make more effort, again, as a society, as governments. It's not really so much technology that we need, and around resilience. So that's where I think I am excited when I see the entries for this Stockholm Junior Water Prize, that the future's bright. And as long as everyone starts understanding the challenges and works together, we will get, maybe not completely solved in 20 years, but way, way ahead of where we are today.
Let's hope for that. Let's wish for that also. And maybe Yunus also, maybe the same question to you as well, because you're also in product development, right? So what do you think 20 years from now, what major change in water do you think will happen? Is there anything different? Anything you want to add to what Vikram said?
Ooh, that's a tough question. So the easy answer would of course be, oh, I say what Vikram said, but no, I hope that we as a company at least can help make water available to everyone. So that's not like a hinder for a prosperous community. That's why at least I work here, try to do my part of this. And I hope we can make make the best use of technology and the products we develop to actually make the world a little bit a better place to live in.
Thank you.
Alan, I just want to chime in. I just want to chime
Yeah.
in with one additive point. I personally want to see in the next 20 years water and sanitization as a basic human right all around the world. That's what I hope to see and fully embraced. And this is not new, but I can see that that's accelerating the role of smart digital technologies in addressing some of these issues. I can see that in the next 20 years becoming very important, playing a very important role in solving some of these issues.
Agree. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hannah, you work in application engineering, right? Can you maybe highlight a major project that was executed by your team, like some of these? In China, they were talking about super projects, etc. Maybe you have a great example for the students here to share.
Yeah, so I say my team of application engineers, they are experts within the application engineering, how making sure the products get the right solutions in the field. So we support the commercial teams. So we work closely with our teams around the globe. So we are always working with the local teams, doing everything from surf rides to wastewater pumping. So it's a lot of different things. But one huge project that we supported was what we call the smart tunnel in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. It's flooding issues. As we talked about, it's increasing around the world, and Kuala Lumpur had a lot of issues with flooding. So they built actually a tunnel, which is almost 10 kilometers long, and it's built with different levels. So during dry seasons, it's a motorway actually. But then when it comes to flooding season, it can handle up to 1 million cubic meters of water. So that's like, I think it's, yeah, it's a lot of water. And there we were part of helping out with designing pump stations. So it's 23 different pump stations, and the way then also of handling how to pump the water and where to make sure it's safe. And of course, when we have cars driving there, and then be able to switch that into handling when the storms are coming. So that's an impressive project, and so you can Google smart tunnel if you want to look into that even more. Actually, it's a cool website where you can see how it works as well. So that's one that comes to mind.
Impressive example. Thank you so much, Hannah. And I really would like Anna to chime in here, because I know she does a lot of work as a water ambassador, watermark ambassador, sorry. On the first call, you probably all recall, Joe Veazey was presenting to you our watermark program. And Anna, you have been leading several of our watermark projects in Sweden, but I believe you even had the Europe-wide projects. Can you help elaborate those projects and activities? Let us know a little bit, and maybe also at the end, what can students do to raise awareness or do to improve the situation with water?
Yeah, thanks, Ellen. Very good question. So yeah, so I've been working with Watermark for, I don't know, 7-8 years or so. So we've had many different projects, but I think one of them, well, I can highlight a couple of them, but one of them is actually in relation to, we have a big manufacturing site in the south of Sweden where, you know, the pumps that you saw on the tour today are produced. The employees there are very committed to Watermark and sort of to make a difference in the world. So they have, 2 years ago, they had many different fundraisers to raise funds towards building a water tower in Cambodia, together with one of our partners, Planet Water. So they were able to fundraise, I think, around $8,000 US. And I actually had the privilege of going on a volunteer trip to Cambodia to build that, you know, actual tower and some other towers as well in remote Cambodia, where we actually gave, you know, access to safe drinking water to 4,000 people in rural Cambodia, close to the Thai border. I mean, that was a fantastic achievement by the team in Emmaboda. And for me personally, I think that was sort of the highlight of my career at Xylem, to be able to give sort of first-hand support to people who actually need it. So that was a fantastic experience. One more thing that I would like to mention, and that I also would like to invite everyone on the call who comes to Sweden to give me a call or send me a note. We have an open air museum in Stockholm, which is called Skansen. It's very famous. It's one of the most famous tourist spots in Sweden. And for the last couple of years, we have had a partnership together with them to try and solve their sort of water issues that they have. They have many different water applications with wildlife and irrigation, toilets and restaurants, many different things. So we give them, we help them with different types of projects to improve their water situation, decrease energy consumption and the cost for water. And also at the same time, we educate the public on water issues together with them. So those are two, I mean, I can go on forever, but I know that we are, limited when it comes to time. So yeah, but I think also to the last thing, I mean, for young people, there are so many different ways you can engage in your local communities and also through social media. And I just wanted to say to sort of what Hayati said, that, education for life, right? So, continue to follow your passion. Hopefully that lies in the water sector, can work for us to make a real difference. And yeah, so I think, yeah, I'll end there.
Great. Thank you so much, Anna. And I know we're already over time, but I really thought this was an interesting Q&A. So I've asked some of our colleagues, Annalie and Francisco and Jan, to join us back here on video, really mainly to thank the whole team in Sundbyberg for putting all of this together, all their hard work. Special thanks to Annalie and Anna for all the hard work on putting this great visit together. We've had several calls over the last few weeks, so thank you so much. But let's not forget our guide, Jan, who you see on screen here. Thank you so much for a very interesting lab tour, great enthusiasm. We got also great feedback for you on Xylem now. And then also want to make sure we don't forget the important man behind the camera, Francisco. I'm not sure if you could maybe turn around and do a selfie, selfie video. There they are. Thank you, guys. All of you, thank you for putting this together. We will share the recording as well also with the students for those that were in time zone where it was more difficult to join us. So have a great, great evening, great afternoon, the rest of your day, and hope to see you all soon again, and maybe live in Stockholm next year. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Ellen, as well.
Thank you.
Yes.